Welcome, my dear students. So today's class we will be viewing chapter 2, Futures of Indian Constitution. So in chapter 1 we have seen what is Indian Constitution, purpose of Indian Constitution, why do we need Indian Constitution, and we have seen a small introduction to Futures of Indian Constitution too in the chapter 1, and in chapter 2 we'll be studying a detailed analysis of Futures of Indian Constitution. Topics what we are going to cover in this chapter are fundamental rights, fundamental duties, directive principles of state policies, diverse religion in India is separation of religion from state policies, promoting of secularism in India, regions in the world. So these are the major topics that we are going to cover in this chapter. So, in the first topic, what we are going to say is the fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are the most important basic human rights, and they are necessary for every individual to live in this, live with dignity. And the fundamental rights keeps every citizen to have an all-round development of an individual. And the Constitution of India guarantees basically six fundamental rights for every citizen. They are the following: right to equality, which lies in the article number 14 to 18, right to freedom, that is article number 19 to 22, right against exploitation, listed in the article 23 and 24, right to freedom of religion, listed in article 25 to 28, cultural and educational right, listed in article 29 to 30, right to constitutional remedies, listed in article 32 to 35. So these are the fundamental rights. So fundamental rights means it is the basic right of human being or each citizen live, and citizen of India has a right to have these rights, and whenever a citizen is not able to have any kind of right, he can raise the right what he needs based on this article. So these fundamental rights make sure that each citizen will be able to have, kind of a safe life in the nation of India. So now let's move on to the next right, that is right to equality. Equality means being equal and do not have any kind of partiality, and every citizen of India will be equal before the law, and equal protection to all citizens, and the government shall not discriminate each or any citizen based on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or birth of place. The right to equality is also abolish the practice of untouchability in any form. It also states that the government can make special provinces for upliftment of the right to equality is a fundamental right to a certain section of the society, such as ST and SC, that is scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. So every classes and every citizen of India should enjoy equality in the country that is in India. And now right to freedom, that is every individual should have a freedom to express himself and express what you need, what all things he want to deliver, or what he needs. And right to freedom, in India expressed about three articles in which each citizen of India will is able to freedomly freedomly able to do what all he needs. And article 19, article 20 and 21 stress these three right to freedom. And let's see what are the important articles. Let's move on with article 19. Article 19 guarantees about six freedom for in citizen of India, that are freedom of speech and expression, freedom to assemble peacefully and without harms, freedom to form association or unions, freedom to move freely throughout the territory of India, freedom to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India, freedom to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade, or business. And Article 20 states that no one can be awarded punishment which is more than what the law, the land prescribes at that time. And it also states that no person can be convinced twice for the same offense, and that is Article 20. And Article 21 of Right to Freedom states that no citizen can be denied his life and liberty except by law. So that is regarding right to freedom. Now moving to right against exploitation. right against exploitation allows Indian citizen to stand up against any kind of exploitation, and and the right of against exploitation stress basically two articles, and article number 23 prohibits forced labor, and there are various kind of labor which is being exploited, and for them article 23 gives kind of a right against exploitation, whereas article 24 prohibits employment of child labor or child below the age of 14 years in factories or mines. If any of the children is being exploited, article 24 gives the right against exploitation, and he or she or the children who is being exploited will be able to get the rights. And next, moving to the right to freedom of religion, that is, we know that India is a secular country, and India allows each and every citizen to have his or her religion what he wants. He can have or select which religion he needs, and India gives freedom to follow a practice of any religion who his or her choice. Now moving to the cultural and educational right, the cultural and educational right sees seek the uphold of rich heritage of India's diversity, and it states that all the citizens should enjoy all the cultural and educational right, and every citizen should get the culture of his state. Every individual state has their own culture heritage, and I mean each and individual citizen has the right to get educational as his or her wish, and based on the mother tongue or based on his or her wish, he or she can set out his educational rights. So each state has granting education, educational aid to various kind of institution, and none of the state or none of the education institution should not discriminate any of the rights based on caste or creed, or based on religious or language. So culture and education should be given equal right and equal priority in the equal priority to the citizen of India. And now moving to the right to constitution remedies. Constitution means that we know that constitution is important part of Indian scenario, and every citizen has the right to get the constitution. Constitution remedies and constitutional rights he or she deserves, and if any of the constitutional right is being denied or neglected, he or she has the right to get kind of an justice from what he needs, and he can directly go to court and get the justice from justice for what he needs. So that is about the right to constitutional remedies. So constitution gives maximum freedom to a citizen to get the justice from the constitution what he or she deserves. And next is about the fundamental duties. So we have finished with the fundamental rights. Now moving to the fundamental duties. Every citizen of India are also expected to follow certain fundamental duties, same as fundamental rights. And there are various type of fundamental duties listed on the constitution. It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to abide by the constitution and respect its ideas and institution, based on the institution, the national flag and the national anthem. That is, every citizen should respect the national anthem and national flag and follow the noble ideas which inspired our national struggle for freedom, to uphold and protest the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India, to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so, to promote harmony and the spirit of brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practice derogatory to the dignity of women, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our common seed culture, to protect and improve the national environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for the living creatures, to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and form. to safeguard public property and to abjure violence, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the so that the national constantly rise to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. So these are the fundamental duties that every citizen have to follow. So next we are moving to the next topic, that is directive principles of state policy. If you see the directive principle of state policy is and the directive principles of state policy stress about the fundamental in governance of the country, and it is the duty of the state to apply these principles for making laws. The reason why the directive principle of state policy is being applicable, because these state policies is being aimed to promote the welfare of the people by securing and protecting a just a social order. And these directive principles include equal pay for equal work, humane condition of work, a decent standard of living, a promotion of education and economic interest of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other weaker section, protection of national monuments, protection and improvement of environment, and safeguarding of forest and wildlife of the country, promotion of international peace and security, just and honorable relation between nations, respect for international law, treaty obligation, settlement of international disputes by arbitration. So these are the directive principles of state policy. We are going to view is secularism. Secularism is one of the important features of our Indian constitution. India is considered to be one of the secularist country in the world, and India accepts all religion, and every citizen who live in the India has the right to select what religion he needs, and all citizens have the fundamental right to follow and propagate their own religion, and it is the duty of the state to protect each citizen's life, liberty, and property of all citizens. And the state cannot discriminate between the citizen based on religions or caste or anything. And if you see in history, if you see in history, you'll be able to see religion is having a different diverse in India, and India is a unique example for India can be taken as a unique example for every faith that have been living together as a part of the same society and contributing to the country's development. From our history, we can see that successful rulers of the past understood the importance of tolerance among different sets and communities, faith and customs, and different regional and religion or racial differences have tried to establish superiority over others, and certain Western interests sometimes try to divide the nation along communal lines. Therefore, while stressing on the importance of every religion, our constitution lays down such principles that safeguard a particular religion community from unfair treatment or by other communities. There are also provisions that separate religion from other state powers too. So that is regarding both the religion of secularism and diverse religions in India. So next we are going to see, is separation of religion from the state important. So if you see, most of the religion is very important and unique in the context of India. So most of the religion is religious group have which is having a majority political power. In such situation, most of the group might misuse its authority for the benefit of their own people. So other religious group will not be able to influence the policies or strategies of the state. So what happened is that since the religion is playing a vital role, and since the religious people, the majority of the people will be dominating the state policies and state control within them, and this can influence even the basic principles of democracy. And secularism eliminates the religious faith from the matters of the state and ensure that no one face discrimination on the grounds of secularism in India. So, if you see, the preamble of our Indian Constitution describe that India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic. The words socialist and secular were added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment. However, Even at the time it was framed, the constitution was completely secular in nature. According to the constitution, a state can be secular if it realizes the following objectives: that one religious community does not dominate another, that some members do not dominate other members of the same religious community, that the state does not enforce any particular religion nor take away the religious freedom of individuals. And Indian state works in various ways to enforce secularism. Majorly, we are going to view it in two ways. The first way is that the first way it uses strategy of distancing itself from religion. So, if you see, most of the religious group, nor does it support any one religion in India. Government agencies like law courts or police station, government schools, offices do not promote any religion. Second way in Indian secularism work through the principles of non-interference, in the sense that this means that in order to respect the sentiments of all religions, it does not interfere with the religious practices. The some of the examples we can point out is that the state can also make certain special provisions for the protection of certain religious communities. The state has to implement the policies of intervention to bring about justice and prevent harmful practice which have religious sanctions. The constitution also guarantees fundamental rights that promote secularism. So these are the two ways in which Indian state works in various ways to enforce secularism. Now we are going to view the last topic of this chapter, that is religion in the world. So if you see religions in the world today, we see the religions base is restricted to very few countries in the world. Broad-minded political leadership and the secular outlook of many developed nations help the countries to put religion out of the realm of national affairs. And globalization means globalization has put out and great an extent which also have helped many countries to come together. That is, globalization helps all the other countries to link with with our countries and makes a kind of unique collaboration and unique link with a kind of link with other nation and build up our trade relation and various other relation. And religion also can have an influence with that, and leaders have also realized that to build a prosperous nation one needs a mutual understanding and enlightenment outlook, cooperation and tolerance. Religions intolerance does not harm the growth of growth of a nation, and it is only when people cooperate with one another and do not let their personal faith interfere that they will progress. So these are the religions. These are the points we can give for the religions of the world, and this is how this chapter has come to the end. And so these are the major features of Indian Constitution. And so we have seen from chapter 1 what is the Indian Constitution, and chapter 2 what are the different features of Indian Constitution. And by this we have come end of this chapter. Thank you.